They fired me for losing $100 in a firm that moves $50 million a day. Victor Sterling, my boss, screamed at me in front of the whole trading floor. He called me incompetent. He called me a liability. He crushed my reputation because of a single red line on a screen. But Victor didn't know the truth. He didn't know that I lost that money on purpose. He didn't know that the $100 wasn't a mistake. It was a tracer bullet, a digital trap designed to follow his money into the darkest corners of the offshore banking world. He thought he was firing a crying intern. He didn't realize he had just handed the keys to his criminal empire to the only person smart enough to burn it down. My name is Maya, and this is how I turned a $100 loss into the Russian mob's worst nightmare. The trading floor did not smell like money. It smelled like stale coffee and fear. High-frequency trading is not a job for humans anymore. It is a job for machines. But Victor Sterling liked to have humans around. He liked the audience. He liked to see the sweat on our foreheads when the market dipped. I sat in the back row. My desk was the smallest one. I was 20 years old. I was wearing a hoodie I bought at a thrift store. To the guys in the Armani suits, I was just the diversity hire, the math nerd from MIT who burned out and ended up here. They did not know I dropped out of MIT because the classes were too slow. They did not know I was building my own trading engine in my spare time. And they definitely did not know why I was staring at a loss on my screen. $100, red text, minus 100. In a firm that moved $50 million a day, $100 was a rounding error. It was less than what Victor spent on lunch. But I knew Victor. I knew his ego, and I knew his paranoia. I waited. I counted the seconds in my head. 1, 2, 3. Who did that? The voice boomed across the open floor. The clatter of keyboards stopped instantly. The silence was sudden and violent. Victor Sterling marched out of his glass office. He looked like a shark in a three-piece suit. His eyes were scanning the rows of traders, scanning the screens, hunting for the red ink. "Who lost money on the dormant account?" he shouted. He was walking down the aisle, coming closer. I could hear his Italian leather shoes crunching on the thin carpet. He stopped behind my chair. I could smell his cologne. It was expensive and aggressive, musk and sandalwood trying to cover up the scent of a desperate man. "Maya," he said. His voice was dangerously low. I turned my chair around. I looked up at him. "Yes, Victor, explain this." He pointed a manicured finger at my screen. Minus $100. On the Omega Fund account. I was testing a new algorithm. I said calm as still water. It was a ping test to check the latency of the execution. A test? Victor repeated. He laughed. It was a dry, harsh sound. "You do not test with my money, Maya. You do not touch the Omega Fund." "It is just $100, I said. I said it on purpose. I wanted to trigger him. I wanted to see if my theory was right. If the Omega Fund was real, a $100 loss would be nothing. But if the Omega Fund was a lie, if it was a Ponzi scheme where new money paid off old investors, then any unauthorized withdrawal, even a tiny one, would mess up the delicate balance of his lie. Victor's face turned red. A vein throbbed in his temple. "It is not about the amount," he screamed. Spittle flew from his mouth. "It is about discipline. It is about competence." He grabbed my monitor. He shook it. "You are a liability, Maya. You are sloppy. You are reckless." He straightened up. He adjusted his tie. He looked around the room, making sure everyone was watching, making sure they all learned the lesson. "You are fired." The words hung in the air. The other traders looked down at their shoes. David, the guy sitting next to me, shifted his chair away, distancing himself from the carcass. It is human nature. When the alpha wolf attacks, the pack looks away. Nobody wants to be next. "Pack your things," Victor spat. "Get out of my building, now. And do not expect a reference. You will never work in this town again." I stood up. I picked up my backpack. I did not argue. I did not cry. I did not beg for a second chance. Because I did not need a second chance. I needed a confirmation. And he just gave it to me. Victor thought he was firing an incompetent intern. He did not realize he was falling into a trap. See, that $100 loss wasn't a mistake. It was a tracer bullet. I had written a script attached to that trade. When the money left the account, it didn't just disappear. It pinged every server it passed through. It mapped the route of the transaction. If the Omega Fund was legitimate, the money would have gone to the New York Stock Exchange. But my tracer showed something else. I saw the data packet on my screen for a split second before he started screaming. The money didn't go to New York. It went to a private server in the Cayman Islands, and then it bounced to a shell company in Delaware. Victor wasn't trading. He was just moving money around. He was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and he was skimming the cream off the top. "Are you deaf?" Victor snapped. I said, "Get out." "I'm going," I said. I walked to the elevator. I felt the eyes of 50 people on my back. They thought I was walking of shame. They pitied me. Poor Maya. Lost her job over $100. They didn't know that I was the only person in the room who was safe. Because when this house of cards collapses, and it would collapse soon, they would all be accessories to fraud. They would all be unemployed or in jail. I stepped into the elevator. Victor was still watching me, hands on his hips, king of his fake castle. I looked him in the eye as the doors started to close. "Goodbye, Victor," I said. "Good luck with the audit." His eyes widened. Just a fraction. He heard it. The word audit. I saw the fear spike in his eyes, but then the doors shut, blocking him out. I was alone in the metal box, descending. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. My hands were shaking slightly, not from fear, from adrenaline. I reached into my pocket. I pulled out a USB drive. It was small, silver, unassuming. Before I executed the trade, before I lost the $100, I had set my terminal to auto-save the transaction logs to this drive. Victor thought the loss was the problem. He didn't know the loss was just the key that unlocked the door to his ledger. I had the map. I had the proof. I had the smoking gun. The elevator chimed at the lobby. I walked out onto the busy street. The sun was shining. People were rushing to lunch, ordering lattes, checking their phones. Nobody knew that one of the biggest investment firms in the city was dead. It was a zombie, walking but dead. I checked my bank account on my phone. Balance, $84. Rent was due in 3 days. I was broke, I was unemployed, and I was holding evidence that could get me killed or make me rich. I pulled up my hood. I started walking toward the subway. Victor said I would never work in this town again. He was right. I wouldn't be working. I would be owning. But first, I had to survive the night. Because once Victor checked the logs, once he realized what that $100 actually did, he wouldn't send lawyers. He would send fixers. My phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. "Bring it back, and we can talk." I smiled. He knew. He figured it out faster than I thought. I typed a reply. "Talk is cheap, Victor. Just like your suit." I deleted the message without sending it. Never leave a trail. I threw the SIM card in a trash can. The game was on, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one reacting. I was the one dealing the cards. Maya is holding a nuclear bomb in a USB drive, but Victor has eyes everywhere. Who strikes first? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications to see the chase begin in part 2. And tell me in the comments, would you take the money and run, or burn the company to the ground? I walked for 3 blocks before I dared to look back. The city was loud, horns honking, sirens wailing, jackhammers tearing up the pavement. Usually I hated the noise. Today I loved it. Noise is cover, noise is camouflage. I ducked into a crowded subway station. I did not swipe my card. That creates a digital footprint. I jumped the turnstile when the station agent wasn't looking. My heart fluttered in my throat. I had never broken a law in my life. Now I had done it twice in 1 hour. I squeezed onto a train heading to Queens, away from the financial district, away from my apartment, away from Victor. My phone was dead in my pocket, SIM card gone. But I knew Victor had my address. He had my emergency contact info. He probably had a keylogger on my work computer. Going home was suicide. I needed a place with public Wi-Fi, but not a Starbucks. Too many cameras. I needed a place where people go to disappear. The public library. The massive stone building on Fifth Avenue. It smells like dust and silence. It is the only place in New York where you can sit for hours without spending $1. And right now I had exactly 84 of them. I found a corner table in the back of the reading room, hidden behind a stack of encyclopedias. I pulled out my laptop. It was an old brick of a machine. Heavy. Scratched. But inside, it had a processor. I had overclocked myself. I didn't connect to the Wi-Fi yet. First, I had to see what I had stolen. I plugged in the silver USB drive. My hand was shaking, just a little. Then the screen flickered. A folder appeared. Transaction lock omega.txt. I opened it. Lines of code cascaded down the screen, green text on black, like the Matrix but boring and terrifying. I scrolled to the timestamp of my $100 trade. There it was. 12:42 p.m. Debit. $100 routing number Cayman Shell 77. I ran a tracer script on the routing number. Most people think offshore accounts are invisible. They are not. They are just hard to see, like a needle in a haystack. But I am good at finding needles. I peeled back the layers. The Cayman account was linked to a holding company in Panama. The Panama company was linked to a bank in Zurich. And the Zurich bank account had a name attached to it. Not Victor Sterling. Victor was just the middleman. The name on the account was V. Volkov. I froze. The air in the library suddenly felt very cold. I knew that name. Everyone in finance knew that name. Vladimir Volkov, the Russian whale, an oligarch who made his money in oil and kept it in blood. Rumor was he used private equity firms to wash his money to turn dirty rubles into clean dollars. And Victor Sterling was his washing machine. I leaned back in the hard wooden chair. My stomach churned. This wasn't just a Ponzi scheme. This wasn't just Victor stealing from rich dentists and retired teachers. This was the mob. If Victor found out I had this data, he wouldn't just sue me. He would bury me. Literally. I looked around the library. A student was sleeping on a book 2 tables away. An old man was reading a newspaper with a magnifying glass. They looked so peaceful, so normal. They didn't know that 5 feet away, a girl was holding the evidence of a $1 billion money laundering operation. I had to get rid of it. That was my first thought. Throw the drive in the trash, smash it, run away to Ohio, and become a waitress. But then I remembered Victor's face. The way he grabbed my monitor. The way he humiliated me. You are a liability, Maya. You will never work in this town again. If I ran, he would hunt me. He had to. I was a loose end. And loose ends get cut. The only way to survive was to become something else. Not a loose end. A knot. A knot so tight he couldn't cut it without destroying himself. I needed leverage. I looked at the screen again. I checked the total balance in the Volkov account. My eyes widened. $500 million. $500 million. Liquid cash. Sitting there, waiting to be washed. And then I saw it, a pattern. I am a mathematician. I see patterns where other people see noise. The transfers into the account happened at specific times. Every Friday at 4 p.m., just before the markets close. Today was Friday. I checked the time on my laptop. 3:45 p.m. 15 minutes until the next transfer. 15 minutes until Volkov sent another $10 million to Victor. An idea formed in my head. It was crazy. It was dangerous. It was illegal. But it was my only shot. I couldn't stop the transfer. I didn't have the access codes for the bank. But I had the routing number. And I had the tracer algorithm I had built. When you send money online, it travels in packets. Little digital envelopes. If you know the route the envelope takes, you can't steal it. But you can nudge it. You can introduce a millisecond of latency, a tiny delay, just enough to confuse the automated sorting system at the clearinghouse. If I timed it perfectly, I could make the money miss its exit. It wouldn't go to Victor's account. It would go into a holding pattern, a digital limbo, frozen. Victor would be expecting $10 million at 4 p.m. to pay off his investors. If that money didn't show up, the Ponzi scheme would crack. And Volkov would be very angry, and he wouldn't be angry at me. He would be angry at the washer. I started typing fast. My fingers flew across the keyboard. I wasn't writing new code. I was modifying the tracer script, turning it from a passive observer into an active jammer. System ready. The terminal blinked. Time 3:55 p.m. 5 minutes. I connected to the library Wi-Fi. It was risky, but I had to be online to execute the command. I pulled up a VPN, routed my connection through 3 different countries: Brazil, Sweden, Thailand. Good luck tracing that Victor. 3:58 p.m. The library was closing soon. The librarian was walking around ringing a small bell. "Closing time in 10 minutes," she whispered. I ignored her. My world was the screen. 3:59 p.m. I could imagine Victor right now, sitting in his glass office, staring at his screen, sweating, waiting for the deposit receipt notification, waiting for the relief. "Execute," I whispered. I hit enter. The script launched. It latched onto the incoming data stream from the Cayman Islands. It found the $10 million packet, and it pinched it, just a little, like stepping on a garden hose. 4:00 p.m., the second hand swept past the 12. Nothing happened on my screen. That was good. No error message meant the jam was working. The money was stuck in the pipes. I waited 1 minute, 2 minutes. At 4:03 p.m., my screen flickered. A new window popped up. Not from my computer, from the network. Connection attempt blocked. Someone was trying to ping me back. Victor's security team. They saw the jam. They were tracing the signal. They were fast. Faster than I thought. Trace progress. Doing the sysbuck. Do I understand? Doing the sysbuck. Do I understand? I had to disconnect. Now. But I needed to confirm the money was frozen. I checked the ledger one last time. The balance in Victor's account hadn't changed. The $10 million was missing. I smiled. A cold, hard smile. So is a blurry find made black. The librarian was standing right behind me. "Miss," she said, "we are closing." "I know," I said. I yanked the USB drive out. I slammed the laptop shut, cutting the connection hard. The trace would die at 90%. They would know the signal came from New York, maybe even from this library. But they wouldn't get my MAC address. I shoved the computer into my backpack. I stood up. My legs felt like jelly. The adrenaline crash was hitting me. I walked out of the library. The sun had set. Fifth Avenue was glowing with streetlights. I blended into the crowd. I was just another girl in a hoodie with a backpack. But as I walked, I felt a vibration in my pocket. My chest tightened. My phone was off. SIM card gone. It couldn't ring. Then I realized it wasn't my phone. It was the burner phone, the cheap plastic thing I had bought with cash at a bodega on my way to the library. I had turned it on for emergency. Nobody had the number. Nobody. I pulled it out. It was ringing. Unknown caller. I stared at it. How? How did they find this number? Then I remembered. I had used the library Wi-Fi. If Victor's tech team was good enough to trace the signal to the library, they could scan for any active cell signals in the building radius. They had triangulated me. I shouldn't answer. I should throw the phone in the sewer and run. But curiosity is a curse, and fear is a motivator. I pressed answer. I put the phone to my ear. I didn't say a word. I just listened to the breathing on the other end. Heavy. Panicked. "Maya," a voice hissed. It wasn't Victor. It was David. The guy who sat next to me. The coward who moved his chair away. David, I whispered. Don't hang up, he said. His voice was shaking so bad I could barely understand him. Victor knows. Knows what? He knows you jammed the transfer. He is screaming. He is tearing the office apart. Why are you calling me David? Because he isn't just calling lawyers Maya, David said. He just called Volkov. My blood ran cold. He told Volkov it was a glitch? A bank error? No, David whispered. He told him it was theft. He told him you stole the money. He gave Volkov your name, your picture, and your old address. Maya, Volkov is sending a cleaning crew. You need to run. Now. The line went dead. I stood on the corner of 42nd Street. The city lights blurred in my eyes. Victor had just signed my death warrant. He had painted a target on my back to save his own skin. He blamed the missing money on me. Now the Russian mob wasn't looking for a hacker. They were looking for a thief. I clutched the backpack strap. I had $84, no home, and an army of killers coming for me. But I also had the USB drive, and I knew where the money was. Victor thought he had checkmated me. He thought I would run. He was wrong. I looked up at the skyscrapers. You want a war, Victor? I whispered to the cold wind. Okay, let's see who bleeds first. I turned around and walked into the darkness of the subway. I wasn't running away anymore. I was going underground. The hunt is on. Victor set the mob on Maya, but she knows where the missing 10 million is hidden. Who will get to the money first? Smash that like button for part 3 to see Maya turn the tables. And tell me, if you were Maya, would you try to negotiate with the mob or destroy them? The subway rattled underneath the city like a dying beast. I rode it to the end of the line, then I switched trains and rode it back. I was trying to shake a tail that I wasn't even sure was there. Paranoia is a heavy coat to wear. It makes you sweat. It makes you itch. I got off at Canal Street, Chinatown. It was midnight, but the streets were still alive. Neon signs reflected in the puddles on the sidewalk. The smell of roasted duck and garbage filled the air. I needed a computer, but not a library this time. Libraries close. I needed a place that never sleeps. I found a narrow doorway next to a fish market. A faded sign read Net Cafe 24 hours. I walked down the stairs. The air turned stale. Cigarette smoke and energy drinks. The room was filled with rows of computers. Teenagers playing games, gamblers placing bets. Nobody looked up. Perfect. I walked to the counter. The guy behind the glass looked bored. $10 an hour, he grunted. Cash only. I handed him a 20 keep. The change, I said. Just don't log my ID. He shrugged and tossed me a slip of paper with a login code. Greed is universal. It is the easiest lock to pick. I found a terminal in the back corner. I sat down, my hoodie up. I plugged in the silver USB drive. I took a deep breath. I was about to do something stupid, something suicidal. David told me to run, but you can't run from people like Vladimir Volkov. They have eyes everywhere. They have infinite money. If I ran, I would spend the rest of my short life looking over my shoulder. No, the only way out was through. I opened the terminal. I reconnected to the hidden tracer script. The $10 million was still floating in the digital void, frozen, like a fly in amber. Victor was probably screaming at his bankers right now, claiming I stole it. He was trying to make me the villain so Volkov would kill me and close the case. But Victor forgot one thing. Thieves run away with the money. They don't hold it hostage. I started typing. I wasn't going to steal the money. I was going to deliver it, but I was going to attach a message. I pulled up the metadata of the transaction. In the memo field of the wire transfer, I typed a phone number, my burner phone number. Then I typed a short note. Ask Victor about the skimming. Then call me. I hesitated. My finger hovered over the enter key. Once I did this, there was no going back. I was inviting the devil into my house. but the devil was already knocking. I might as well open the door. I hit enter, releasing packet rhyming transfer complete. The money was gone. It landed in the Swiss account. Volkov had his 10 million. Now I just had to wait to see if he read the note. I sat back. I watched the gamers screaming at their screens. Kill him! He's right there! Real violence is quiet. I checked my burner phone. Battery at 40%. 5 minutes passed. 10. Maybe he didn't check the memos. Maybe he just saw the money arrive and called off the hit. Or maybe the hit team was already outside. Then the phone rang. It vibrated on the cheap plastic desk. The sound was deafening in my head. Unknown caller. I picked it up. Hello? You are a bold girl. The voice was deep, accented. It sounded like gravel crunching under tires. It wasn't Victor. Mr. Volkov, I said. My voice was steady. Fake it until you make it. You have my money, he said, and you have my attention. Victor says you are a thief. Victor lies, I said. If I was a thief, I would be on a plane to Brazil right now. I wouldn't be returning your $10 million. There was a silence on the line. He was listening, evaluating. You returned the principal, Volkov said, but you mentioned skimming. Check the logs, I said. I sent you the raw data attached to the transfer. Look at the routing history for the last 12 months. Victor hasn't just been washing your money, he has been taking a 2% handling fee off the top, before it even hits the books. 2% is $200,000 a week. That is $10 million a year he is stealing from you. I heard the sound of typing on the other end. Fast. Rhythmic. I am looking, Volkov said. I see the deductions. He labeled them server maintenance fees. There is no maintenance, I said. The servers are cheap. I know. I maintain them. A low chuckle came through the phone. It was a terrifying sound. So, Volkov mused, my washer is skimming my cream. Yes, I said. And when I found out today, he fired me. And when the transfer got stuck, he blamed me. He wanted you to kill me so I couldn't testify, smart Volkov said. For a dead man. But why tell me? Why not just run? Because I want a job, I said. The words just came out. I didn't plan them. But as soon as I said them, I knew it was the right move. Volkov paused. A job? Victor is sloppy, I said. He is using routing algorithms from the 90s. He is losing you money on latency alone, and he is stealing from you. I jammed that transfer with a laptop in a public library using free Wi-Fi. Imagine what I could do with real hardware. I can build you a system that is invisible, untraceable, and I won't charge you a handling fee. I just want a salary. And safety. The silence stretched out. I could hear my own heartbeat. I was negotiating with a shark, offering to clean his teeth if he didn't eat me. Victor is currently in his office, Volkov said calmly. He is waiting for my men to bring him your head. He is very agitated. I bet he is, I said. My men are close to your location, Maya, Volkov said. My blood froze. He tracked the call. Of course he did. They are outside the internet cafe. I looked at the stairs. 2 men in black coats were walking down. They were huge, stone faces. They spotted me instantly. I stood up. Panic flared. Mr. Volkov, I started. Sit down, Volkov commanded. Hand the phone to the man in the gray coat. His name is Yuri. The men walked over. The cafe went silent. The gamers stopped playing. Yuri stopped in front of me. He held out his hand. I gave him the phone. "Da," Yuri said into the receiver. He listened. He nodded. "Da, boss." He hung up. He handed the phone back to me. He looked at me. His eyes were cold blue ice. Then he smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Come," Yuri said. "We go." Where I asked, my voice trembling. "To the office," Yuri said. "Boss wants to have a meeting with you. And Victor. Together. He placed a hand on my shoulder. It felt like a steel clamp. "Do not run," he whispered. "I hate running." I nodded. I grabbed my backpack. We walked up the stairs, out into the cool night air. A black SUV was waiting at the curb. The engine was running. I climbed into the back seat. Yuri sat next to me. He locked the door. Child lock. I looked out the window as we drove toward the financial district. I wasn't running anymore. I was being delivered. But to what? A job interview? Or an execution? Volkov had verified the theft. But mobsters don't like witnesses. Maybe he would kill Victor for stealing and kill me for knowing. But I remembered the greedy curiosity in his voice when I mentioned the new algorithm. Men like Volkov love money more than they love violence. Violence is just a tool to get money. If I could prove I was a money printer, I might survive. We pulled up to the glass tower, the same building I was kicked out of 8 hours ago. The lights were still on in the penthouse. Victor was still there, waiting for the good news. We walked into the lobby. The night security guard looked up. He saw Yuri. He saw the gun bulge under Yuri's coat. He looked back down at his newspaper. Smart man. We took the elevator to the top floor. The ride was silent. My reflection in the mirrored wall looked tired, pale, but my eyes were sharp. The doors opened. We walked onto the trading floor. It was empty, except for the glass office at the end. Victor was pacing back and forth, holding a drink. When he saw the elevator open, he smiled. He rushed out. "Yuri!" he shouted. "Did you get her? Is it done?" Then he saw me, walking behind Yuri. Alive. Unharmed. Victor stopped. His smile dropped. The glass fell from his hand and shattered on the floor. Whiskey and ice splashed over his expensive shoes. What is this?" Victor stammered. "Why is she here?" Yuri didn't answer. He walked over to a chair. He pulled it out. "Sit," he told me. I sat. Yuri turned to Victor. "Boss is on video link," Yuri said, pointing to the giant screen on the wall. "He wants to watch." The screen flickered to life. Vladimir Volkov was sitting in a leather chair in a dark room. He was smoking a cigar. He looked like a king passing judgment. "Hello," Victor Volkov said from the speakers. Victor turned pale. "Vladimir, I don't understand. She is the thief. Why is she breathing?" "She is breathing," Volkov said, "because she returned the money." Victor blinked. "She did." "Yes, all of it." Volkov took a drag of his cigar. "But she also sent me a very interesting receipt. Something about a 2% handling fee." Victor froze. He looked at me. His eyes were filled with pure hatred and terror. "She is lying," Victor screamed. "She hacked the logs. She is a witch." "The numbers don't lie," Victor Volkov said softly. "Maya showed me the math. You have stolen $12 million from me over 3 years. I trusted you, and you tried to use me to kill the girl who caught you." Victor fell to his knees. "Please, Vladimir, it was a mistake. I will pay it back. I have the money." "No," Volkov said. "You don't. I checked your personal accounts too. You spent it. On cars, on women, on gambling. You are broke, Victor." Volkov looked at Yuri.
Yuri.
"Duh," Yuri said. "Fire him." Victor looked confused. "Fire me?" "Yes," Volkov said, from the building. Yuri stepped forward. Victor screamed. It was a high-pitched sound. Yuri grabbed him by the collar of his suit. He dragged him toward the window. Not the elevator, the window. "Wait," I shouted. Yuri stopped. He looked at me. Volkov looked at me from the screen. "You want to save him?" Volkov asked, amused. "No," I said. I stood up. My legs were steady now. "I don't care about him. But if you throw him out the window, the police will come. The SEC will come. They will seize the servers. They will find the accounts. You will lose $500 million in frozen assets." Volkov frowned. "She is right," he muttered. So what do you suggest, Maya? Let him live, I said. For now, make him sign a confession. Make him transfer the deed of the firm to a shell company. My shell company. Then put him on a plane to somewhere cold, somewhere without internet. If he disappears, the police will just think he ran away with the money. It happens all the time. The firm stays open, the trading continues, and your money stays safe. Volkov looked at me. He smiled, a genuine, impressed smile. You are not just a mathematician, he said. You are a strategist. Yuri Volkov commanded. Do as she says. Get the paperwork. Yuri dropped Victor. Victor scrambled back against the wall. He looked at me with wide, terrified eyes. He realized that the intern he fired this morning just saved his life. But she also just stole his soul. I walked over to Victor's desk, my old boss's desk. I sat down in his leather chair. It was too big for me, but I would grow into it. I looked at the screen. Mr. Volkov, I said, we need to discuss my salary. Volkov laughed. Talk to Yuri. He handles the payroll. Welcome to the family, Maya. The screen went black. I looked out the window at the city lights. I had $84 in my pocket, but I was now the CEO of a dark money empire. I looked at Victor shivering in the corner. Get up, Victor, I said cold and sharp. You have paperwork to sign, and bring me a coffee. Black. The predator had become the pet, and the game had just changed levels. Maya just pulled off the ultimate power move, from thrift store hoodie to mob boss CEO in 24 hours. If you enjoyed this wild ride, hit that like button and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, what would you do with $100 million of dirty money? See you in the next story. The sun rose over the Hudson River. It painted the trading floor in shades of orange and gray. I hadn't slept. I was sitting in Victor's ergonomic leather chair. My feet were up on his mahogany desk. Yuri was sitting on the couch in the corner, sharpening a knife with a small stone. Schlick, schlick, schlick. It was the only sound in the room. Victor was gone. Yuri's men had taken him to a safe house in New Jersey to sign the transfer papers. He was officially on a long vacation. Unofficially, he was a ghost. I looked at the clock, 7:55 a.m. The traders would be arriving in 5 minutes. They expected to see Victor screaming about margins. They expected to see me gone. They were in for a surprise. The elevator chimed. The first group walked in. They were holding Starbucks cups and laughing, talking about sports, talking about the crazy girl who got fired yesterday. Did you see her face? One guy laughed. She actually thought she could trade. They walked past the glass office. Then they stopped. The laughter died. They saw me, wearing the same hoodie, sitting in the CEO's chair with a Russian hitman sharpening a knife in the corner. Good morning, I said. My voice was amplified by the office intercom. I had figured out how to use the PA system. They froze. More elevators opened. More staff poured in. Within 2 minutes, the entire floor was gathered outside the glass walls. Confused, terrified, whispering, I stood up. I walked out of the office. Yuri stood up too and followed me, a dark shadow behind a small girl. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. I walked to the center of the room, to my old desk, the small one in the back. I picked up my framed degree, the one Victor had knocked over. I wiped the dust off it. Then I turned to face them. Victor Sterling is no longer with the firm, I announced. He has decided to pursue other opportunities. Effective immediately, I am the interim CEO. A murmur went through the crowd. Someone shouted from the back. It was Mark, the senior VP, a man who wore suspenders and thought he was on Wall Street in the 80s. He stepped forward, red-faced. This is a joke, right? You are the intern. You were fired yesterday. He looked at Yuri. And who is this? Security? I am calling the police. Mark pulled out his phone. Yuri didn't move. I didn't move. Go ahead, Mark, I said. Call them. But before you do, you might want to check your email. Mark hesitated. What? I sent everyone an email at 6:00 a.m., I said. It contains a PDF, a forensic accounting of the Omega Fund. The room went deadly silent. Mark's face drained of color. I know about the skimming, Mark, I said softly. I know you took a bonus last year from funds that didn't exist. I know David over there faked the quarterly reports. I know all of it. I looked around the room, making eye contact with every single one of them. Victor was running a Ponzi scheme, and you all helped him. Ignorance is not a defense in federal court. If the police come here today, they aren't just taking me. They are taking all of you for fraud, for conspiracy, for money laundering. Mark lowered his phone. His hand was shaking. So I continued. We have two options. Option A, Mark makes that call. We all go to jail. Your careers are over. Your assets are frozen. Option B, you sit down, you shut up, and you do exactly what I say. If you choose option B, the fund stays open. The salaries keep getting paid. And nobody goes to prison. I waited. It is a simple calculation. Greed plus fear equals obedience. Mark looked at his phone. Then he looked at me. Then he looked at Yuri's knife. He put the phone in his pocket. What do you want us to do? He asked quietly. Sit down, I said, and log in. Mark nodded. He walked back to his desk. One by one, the others followed, the sheep returning to the pen. David walked past me. He looked like he was going to vomit. Maya, he whispered. I tried to warn you. I know David, I said. That is why you are still head of analytics. Now get to work. I walked back to the glass office. I sat down. Yuri chuckled. You are scary little girl, he said. I learned from the best, I replied. But the hard part was just starting. I had the control. Now I needed the money. Volkov expected his machine to be efficient. He expected the invisible system I promised. I opened my laptop. I connected it to the main server. Upload protocol, host, I typed. This was the code I had written in the library, the jammer. But now I wasn't using it to stop money. I was using it to race it. High-frequency trading is a race. The fastest signal wins. But you can't beat the speed of light unless you cheat. My algorithm didn't try to be faster. It predicted the lag. It looked for the stutter in the market data, the millisecond before a price change hits the public tape. I executed the program. On the big wall screen, the numbers started to move. The Omega Fund balance was 0. Volkov had drained it. We were starting from scratch. Yuri, I said, I need seed capital. Yuri picked up his phone. He made a call. Russian, short. 2 minutes later, the screen blinked.
Deposit $50,000.
Volkov was testing me. 50 million was a lot. But for him, it was pocket change. Taking that for shutting this up, run. Okay, I whispered. Let's run. I engaged the auto trader. The code hunted for arbitrage opportunities between New York and London. It bought currency in 1 millisecond and sold it in the next. The profit on each trade was tiny, fractions of a penny. But we were doing 10,000 trades a second. The balance ticker started to tick up $50,000 on $100, $50,000 on $500, $50,000, $10,000. In 10 minutes, we had made $10,000. Risk-free, invisible, no red flags, just pure mathematical extraction. I looked out at the trading floor. The traders were staring at their screens, mouths open. They were seeing the trades execute, but they weren't doing anything. My ghost was doing the work. Mark knocked on the glass door. He came in. He looked at the screen. Then he looked at me with a strange expression. It wasn't fear anymore. It was awe. How? He asked. The latency, it is 0. That is impossible. It is negative latency, I said. We are trading inside the gap. Mark shook his head. If Victor had this, he wouldn't have needed to steal. Victor was a thief, Mark, I said. I am an engineer. There is a difference. What do you want us to do? Mark asked. The bot is doing all the trading. I want you to make noise, I said. Place dummy trades, small ones. Buy blue chip stocks, write reports, call clients. Look busy. The SEC looks for silence. I need this floor to look like a normal, bustling, mediocre firm. You are the camouflage Mark. Be boring. Mark nodded slowly. I can do boring. He walked out. I leaned back in the chair. I watched the number climb. 51 million. I had saved the firm, I had saved the jobs, and I had made a mobster $1 million in an hour. But I knew this wasn't the end. Success draws attention, and attention is dangerous. My computer pinged. A secure message from Volkov. Impressive. But money is not enough. I have a problem that math cannot solve. A rival. The Albanian cartel. They are moving into my territory. They are using a digital bank to pay their soldiers. I want you to break it. I stared at the message. He didn't just want a money printer. He wanted a weapon. He wanted me to go on the offensive, to hack a rival cartel. That wasn't trading. That was war. I looked at Yuri. He was watching me, reading my reaction. If I said no, I was useless. And useless things get thrown away. I typed back, send me the IP address. I wasn't a trader anymore. I was a soldier. And the battlefield was the internet. I cracked my knuckles. I took a sip of the black coffee Victor had left behind. It was cold. But it tasted like power. Yuri, I said, order pizza for the floor. We are going to be working late. Maya has officially started a cyber war for the Russian mob. Do you think she can outsmart the Albanian cartel, or is she in over her head? Hit like and subscribe to follow the next chapter of Maya's rise to power, and tell me, who would you trust more, a mob boss or a banker? The pepperoni pizza arrived at midnight. It greased the cardboard boxes stacked on the mahogany desks. The traders were sleeping in their chairs. Mark was snoring with his mouth open. The floor looked like a frat house after a party. But inside the glass office, it was a war room. I was staring at the IP address Volkov had sent me. It wasn't a bank website. It was a direct link to a decentralized ledger, a dark pool where the Albanian cartel moved their money to buy weapons. Yuri was standing behind me, eating a slice of pizza, watching the screen like a hawk. Break it, he said. Boss wants them blind by morning. I cracked my knuckles. I typed the first probe command. Usually, hacking is like burglarizing a house. You check the windows, you pick the lock, you sneak in. But this time, as soon as I touched the doorknob, the door slammed open, and a fist came flying out. My screen flashed red. Warning. Counter incursion detected. Firewall breach. Port 80. I gasped. My hands flew across the keyboard. He is attacking back, I whispered. Cool? Yuri asked, dropping his pizza. The admin, I said. He was waiting for me. He set a honeypot. A honeypot is a trap. You make a server look weak to lure the hacker in. Then you trace them and roast them. I had walked right into it. My laptop fan spun up like a jet engine. Code was scrolling on my screen that I didn't write. He was trying to upload a virus to my system to fry my hardware. Cut the connection, Yuri shouted, reaching for the cable. No, I yelled. If I disconnect, he wins. He keeps the logs. He finds us. I had to fight. I switched from offense to defense. I initiated a sandbox protocol. I let his virus in. But I trapped it in a virtual cage, a fake hard drive. I watched the virus eat the fake data. It was aggressive code, elegant, brutal. It wasn't written by a script kiddie, it was written by a master. Okay, I muttered. You want to dance? Let's dance. I used the connection he had opened to send my own payload while his virus was busy eating my garbage files. I slipped a Trojan horse through the back door he left open. My code entered his server. I saw the architecture. It was beautiful. Layers of encryption wrapped around a core of digital gold. The Albanian ledger. I started to dismantle the encryption keys, one by one. Click, click, click. Suddenly, a chat window popped up on my screen. Not my chat client, his. He had hijacked my terminal to talk to me. Unknown user. You are fast. I froze. Hackers don't usually talk. Talking leaves a trace. I typed back, Maya! You are sloppy. You left port 443 open. Unknown user. I left it open for you. I wanted to see who Volkov hired. My heart skipped a beat. He knew who I was. Or at least, who I worked for. Maya, who are you? Unknown user. Does it matter? We are both just fingers on a keyboard. Turn back. The Albanians are not forgiving men. Maya, neither is Volkov. If I fail, I die. There was a pause. The cursor blinked. Unknown.
User.
Me too. I stared at those two words.
Me too.
Suddenly, the enemy wasn't a faceless monster. He wasn't a cartel soldier. He was just like me. Someone trapped in a room with a gun to his head, forced to protect the money of bad men. I felt a wave of nausea. Volkov wanted me to destroy him, to crash his server. If I did that, the Albanians might kill him for failing. But if I didn't, Volkov would kill me. It was him or me, the gladiator dilemma. Two slaves forced to fight to the death while the emperors watched. Yuri, I said, my voice shaking. I am in. Destroy it, Yuri commanded. Wipe the ledger, delete the money. I looked at the chat window. Unknown user. I see your payload. It is a logic bomb. Smart. Are you going to detonate it? I hesitated. My finger hovered over the enter key.
I have to.
Unknown user. I know. Do it. Make it look good. He was giving me permission. He accepted his fate. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't kill a mirror image of myself. My brain raced. I needed a third option. I looked at his code again. I saw a flaw. Not a technical flaw, a structural one. The server backed up to a satellite link every 10 minutes. I am not going to delete the money, I whispered. I typed furiously. Maya, brace for impact. I didn't execute the delete command. Instead, I executed a reroute command. I took the entire ledger, the millions of dollars of dirty Albanian money, and I moved it, not to Volkov, not to a black hole. I moved it to the public blockchain. I encrypted it with a key that was split in two. I sent half the key to Volkov, and I sent half the key to the rival hacker. Then, I crashed his server. The screen went black. System offline, target neutralized. Yuri clapped his heavy hands. Good. Is it gone? It is frozen, I said. The Albanians can't access it. But Volkov can, Yuri asked, suspicious. Volkov has half the key, I lied. The other half is processing. It will take time. I lied to the hitman. I lied to the mob boss. Why? Because I just gave the rival hacker an insurance policy. The Albanians couldn't kill him because he held the other half of the key to their millions. As long as he was alive, they had a chance to get their money back. I had saved him, and I had fulfilled my mission. The chat window disappeared. The connection died. I slumped back in my chair. Sweat was dripping down my back. I felt exhausted, drained. Yuri patted me on the back. It felt like being patted by a bear. You are a good soldier, he said. Volkov will be happy. My phone buzzed. A text from Volkov. The Albanians are panicking. Their accounts are locked. Good work. Take the rest of the night off. Tomorrow we expand. I closed my laptop. I stood up. My legs were stiff. I looked out at the trading floor. The sun was coming up again. Another day in the Shark Tank. I walked to the window. I looked at the city waking up. Somewhere out there, in a dark room like mine. Another hacker was breathing a sigh of relief. We had never met. We never would. But in the cold binary world of zeros and ones, we had shared a moment of humanity. I touched the cold glass. Good luck, Zero, I whispered, giving him a name. Stay alive. I turned around. David was waking up at his desk. He looked at me with sleepy eyes. Coffee, he asked. Why? Yeah, I said. Coffee. I wasn't just a survivor anymore. I was a player, and I just changed the rules of the game. But as I walked toward the break room, I realized something. I had given the rival hacker leverage to survive, but I had also given him the power to destroy me. If he gave his half of the key to Volkov, I was useless. If he gave it to the FBI, we were all in jail. I had bet my life on the conscience of a stranger. I poured the black coffee. My hand trembled. It was the biggest gamble I had ever made, and the wheel was still spinning. Maya just saved an enemy hacker, but she might have doomed herself. Is Zero going to be an ally or her downfall? Hit like if you respect the move, and subscribe to see what happens when the Albanians find out where the money went. 6 months is a lifetime in the world of high-frequency trading. In 6 months, I had turned Volkov's 50 million into 500 million. I wasn't the girl in the hoodie anymore. I wore tailored suits. I had a driver. I had a penthouse in Tribeca. But I also had Yuri. He slept in my living room. He followed me to the bathroom. He tasted my food. Volkov called it protection. I knew it was custody. I was a golden goose, and you don't let the goose wander off. I sat in my corner office. The glass walls were soundproof. I looked down at the street. I missed the subway. I missed the smell of stale pizza. I missed being invisible. My computer pinged. It was the special secure channel, the one I shared with Zero, the rival hacker. We hadn't spoken since that night, but the connection remained open, like a dormant wire waiting for a spark. Zero, the Albanians found me. My heart stopped. Maya? Are you safe? Zero. For now. But they are getting close. They want the key, and Volkov is getting impatient. I looked up. Yuri was on the phone, speaking Russian. He looked angry. He glanced at me. Then he hung up. Boss wants to see you, Yuri said. Now? Why, I asked. He is tired of waiting, Yuri said. He hired a team to find the other hacker, to extract the key physically. Tonight we get the money. All of it. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. Extracting the key physically meant torture. They were going to hunt down Zero. And once they had the full key, once they had the money, they wouldn't need me anymore either. The useful idiot becomes just an idiot. I stood up. Okay, I said. Let's go see Volkov. I grabbed my laptop. I walked to the elevator. Yuri pressed the button for the penthouse. As the doors closed, I sent one final message to Zero, hidden inside a dummy trade command. Maya, execute protocol Exodus. Zero, confirmed. We had been planning this for 3 months. 2 prisoners digging a tunnel from opposite ends of the earth, hoping to meet in the middle. We walked into Volkov's office. He was eating a steak. Rare. Blood on the plate. Victor was there too. He looked thinner, older. He was basically a servant now, pouring wine, fetching cigars, a living ghost. Maya Volkov smiled. Tonight is a celebration. We have located your friend, the Albanian hacker. He is in a basement in Belgrade. My team is 5 minutes away. When they break down his door, we will have the other half of the key. And then the empire is complete. I put my laptop on his desk. You don't need a team, I said. Volkov stopped chewing.
What?
You don't need to break down his door, I said. I have the key. I have had it for weeks. Volkov's eyes narrowed. You lied to me? I negotiated. I corrected. I bought his half from him. Quietly. I wanted to surprise you. Volkov laughed. A deep, booming sound. You are full of surprises, Maya. Give it to me. Unlock the funds. I opened the terminal. The screen glowed blue. Yuri Volkov said, Get the champagne. Victor hurried to get glasses. I looked at the code. It was the Exodus script. It wouldn't unlock the funds to Volkov's wallet. It would unlock the funds to the blockchain's burn address. A digital black hole. Nobody owns it. Money goes in. Nothing comes out. Forever. But that wasn't the only thing the script did. It also scraped the entire history of Volkov's operation. Every bribe, every murder, every laundered dollar, and it sent it to a secure server at Interpol, and the FBI, and the New York Times. I looked at Volkov. He was raising his glass. To the future, he toasted. To the future, I said. I hit enter. The progress bar filled up instantly. Green, then red.
Ocean spring.
Golds you craft for complete. Warning. Ledger purged. Volkov smiled. Then he frowned. He looked at his phone. He was expecting a deposit notification. Instead, he got an alert. What is this? He whispered. Where is the money? Gone, I said. Burned. What did you do? He roared. He threw the glass against the wall. Yuri pulled his gun. He pointed it at my head. I didn't flinch. I pointed to the window. Listen, I said. Volkov stopped. He listened. Sirens. Not one. Dozens, coming from every direction, rising up from the streets like a choir of judgment. I didn't just burn the money, Vladimir, I said. I sent the receipts to the police. All of them. The Albanians, the Russians, Victor's Ponzi scheme. Everyone goes down. Zero sent his logs from Belgrade. I sent mine from here. We just cleaned the slate. Volkov's face turned purple.
Kill her!
He screamed at Yuri.
Kill her now!
Yuri tightened his finger on the trigger. I looked him in the eye. Check your bank account, Yuri, I said softly. Yuri hesitated. I sent $5 million to your offshore account in the Caymans 5 minutes ago, I lied. It is the only money left. You can shoot me and go to jail for life, or you can run and retire. The police are 2 minutes away. Yuri looked at Volkov. Then he looked at the gun. Then he looked at the door. Greed is stronger than loyalty. Always. Yuri holstered the gun. Sorry, boss, he grunted. And he ran out the door to the service elevator. Volkov stared at me. Betrayed. Alone. Victor was cowering under the table, crying. You ruined me, Volkov shouted. He lunged across the desk. He grabbed my throat. His hands were huge, choking the life out of me. I will kill you myself. I couldn't breathe. Black spots danced in my eyes. But then the door burst open.
FBI! Freeze! Hands in the air!
Men in body armor swarmed the room. Volkov let go. He raised his hands, defeated. I fell back into the chair, gasping for air. They cuffed Volkov. They cuffed Victor. They dragged them out, screaming. An agent walked over to me. Are you the witness? He asked. Maya Anderson? I rubbed my throat. Yes, I rasped. We received the data packet, he said. It is extensive. You just took down 2 of the biggest syndicates in the world. You are going to need protective custody. We have a safe house ready. I looked at the agent. Can I have a minute? I asked. Just to collect my things? He nodded. 2 minutes. He stepped outside to guard the door. In Markin, I picked up my laptop. I opened the chat window one last time. And
It is done.
0, the Albanians are in custody. I am ghosting. Good luck, Maya. Maya, good luck 0. I typed one final command. Witty erase self. My laptop screen went black. The hard drive wiped itself. I left the laptop on the desk. I didn't need it anymore. I walked over to the window. I looked down at the chaos on the street. Police lights flashing, media vans arriving. I reached into my pocket. I pulled out a small piece of paper. It was the receipt from that first day, the day I lost $100, the mistake that started a war. I smiled, I crumpled it up, and dropped it on the floor. The agent came back in. Ready? Ready, I said. We walked out of the penthouse, out of the glass tower. They put me in the back of a black car. But this time, there were no handcuffs. The car drove away, merging into the traffic. I watched the city pass by. I was broke again. I had $0 in my account. No job, no apartment. But I looked at the sky. It was blue, limitless. I took a deep breath. The air tasted sweet. It tasted like freedom. And somewhere, in a basement in Belgrade, or a beach in Bali, I knew someone else was looking at the same sky, breathing the same air. We had lost the money, but we had won the game. The ants didn't just march. The ants burned the whole hill down and walked away. Maya just walked away from $500 million to buy her freedom. Was it worth it? Hit that like button if you think she made the right call. And subscribe for more stories where the underdog takes it all. Thanks for watching.